a true story by one of our viewers. The Shadow of the Night Shift. Working the night shift at the old factory was never easy, but I needed the money. The place was massive, filled with creaky machinery and dark corners. Most of the factory had been abandoned for years, with only a few sections still operational. The company hired me to watch over the property, making sure no one trespassed. One night, around midnight, I heard a loud crash coming from one of the abandoned sections. Startled, I grabbed my flashlight and headed toward the noise. The hallways were long and dark, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows that played tricks on my eyes. As I approached the source of the sound, I noticed a door slightly ajar. I was sure I had locked all the doors earlier. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was vast, filled with old, rusted machinery covered in cobwebs. The air was thick with dust, and the smell of decay was overwhelming. I shone my flashlight around, and something caught my eye. A dark figure standing in the corner. My heart raced, but when I moved the beam directly onto it, the figure vanished. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but deep down I knew something was wrong. I decided to check the security cameras. Back in the control room, I rewound the footage and watched closely. At first, everything seemed normal, but then I saw it. A shadowy figure moving swiftly through corridors. It wasn't human, more like a dark, shifting mass. Determined to find out what was happening, I grabbed a radio and called my coworker, Tom, who was patrolling another part of the factory. He sounded annoyed, but agreed to meet me by the old machinery room. As I waited for him, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Tom arrived a few minutes later, looking skeptical. I explained what I saw, but he just laughed it off, saying it was probably a trick of the light. We decided to explore the area together, hoping to find some rational explanation. As we walked through the abandoned section, we heard a faint whispering sound. It grew louder, echoing off the walls. Tom's face turned pale, and he stopped laughing. We followed the sound to a small office at the end of the hall. Inside, the temperature dropped noticeably. Our breath misted in the air, and the whispering grew into frantic murmurs. We found an old desk with a dusty journal on top. I opened it, revealing pages filled with illegible scribbles and disturbing drawings. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind us. We spun around, but there was no one there. The whispers turned into screams, and the room seemed to close in on us. Tom and I bolted for the door, desperately trying to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the shadowy figure again, standing in the corner, watching us. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light. I grabbed Tom, and we both threw our weight against the door. It finally gave way, and we tumbled into the hallway, slamming it shut behind us. We ran back to the control room, gasping for breath. Tom visibly shaken, and I knew he believed me now. We watched the security footage again, and this time we saw the shadowy figure following us, stopping just short of the office door. We reported everything to our supervisor the next morning, but he dismissed our story as nonsense. Tom quit that day, but I had no choice but to stay. Every night since, I felt the presence of the shadowy figure watching and waiting. The factory was never just a place of work, it was a haunting reminder that some things should never be disturbed. The night shift had become a waking nightmare, and I knew deep down that whatever lurked in those dark corners was far from finished with me.